David, your CBS question, please.
CBS question is, I mean, I've been a lawyer for 35 years, and you would have lost a jury trial if you put on that kind of splicing together of question and answer. I found it an abomination. And it isn't that, I mean, is this just what they do all the time? Are we watching
Yes,
interviews?
they do it. They do it all the time, and they did it not to help her. They did it because it's better television.
Oh,
They do it all the time. And
yeah, I wasn't suspecting a
doc,
bias. I think
yeah,
they're beyond bias.
yeah,
I think media is
yeah,
just about clicks.
yeah. I'll tell you that in documentaries, they do it to a criminal degree. Okay, if you're a serious television producer and you make edits like that, you do it in a way that's true to the spirit and substance of what they said. And I will say that in this case, it was true in the spirit of substance what you
It,
said. It was cleaner,
it
but
was certainly cleaner, but don't go ahead and produce and publish two drafts of the same documentary. I mean, let's give us the ability to have plausible belief that you're actually presenting the candidate as the candidate is. Because one of the real problems in this election is I watched the first presidential debate between Harris and Trump, and it was like watching Clarence Darrow. I've never seen a candidate as clear and prepared. I mean, I've not seen an inkling of that Kamala Harris in any other setting that I've watched her.
yeah,
And that's why in
that's
this case, it's very important to me to see the
yeah.
real article, not to
So,
see some CBS
counselor,
edited.
let me ask you a question, counselor. Do you ever quote lawyers ever quote from depositions in legal filings?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so if you did a 400-page deposition, and then you were quoting in a brief to the judge, are you obligated to include the 400 pages? No,
Oh, you're
you take
not.
out. You're
But
not,
if
but
you
you
want to
take
have
out.
credibility with the judge, you're gonna
Yeah.
present the best and worst and explain. It's one of the real problems with litigation that I've seen in lawyers is that they allow the other side to get the gotcha moment by counter proposing facts. Listen, you're not under any obligation as an advocate to quote the lousy
Okay,
passages.
okay. Let's say I'm a newspaper reporter and I'm interviewing you about your 200 favorite meals you've ever had. Okay, and then I'm writing a story about David Bertoni's favorite meals. Am I obligated to publish all 200
No, but Mark, I think
descriptions?
people.
Yeah,
I
But,
mean,
but
that's a
hold on. There's a
it's
difference, though. With all, I'll jump in on the counselor. If you look at the interaction, a reporter, when I read a thing, I go, okay, that's a quote, and I understand that they probably said more. But when you're watching a video interaction, and I ask you a question, and then you jump cut it and create the impression that that was the answer they give, it is. I mean,
okay. Okay, but I understand exactly what you're saying, and I can say it happens every day in every edited television piece and documentary. If you want to say that should never happen, then you're gonna have to figure out a way to reinvent the medium. But don't
yeah.
single out CBS and 60 Minutes
they all
for
are
doing
horrible.
it.
Well,
Well, it's not just because they're horrible. It's the way production works.
I guess
It's
my point is not that it's a unique occurrence. It's that we now have a moment when it's been laid bare. We have a
yeah,
moment when a network has effectively shown its cards in a way that was foolish and idiotic, but at least it's placed front and center for the public to see and maybe learn for
yeah,
the first time. Because not
yeah,
everybody understands that this manipulation
yeah,
goes on.
yeah.
It
You're
goes, and
right.
documentaries are front and center in this.
Yeah.
Part of
But
the
now
I
we
mean, this is
have,
part of the problem when you don't give a lot of interviews. Every
oh,
time now she steps out, everybody is picking apart the process, everything, because there's so little content.
I think that's right, and I think that's why town halls are a great idea. I mean, that lets you get to see someone actually without an editor in between. Live interviews would be great also.
I mean,
But I also think go
because
ahead,
the flip
Dan.
side to this
Sorry.
is, Trump does so much. He speaks so frequently, right? I watching the chat and X, right? People want us to focus on every lie he tells or every, verbal, bumble that he has. But because he speaks so frequently, we don't focus on that stuff as much anymore, right? So it is the opposite that she is now facing. And on some level, she's earned it because she's been so guarded in how she presents. Because when Trump's on podcasts edit stuff all the time.
Yep, that's
All the
true.
time. It's just
I just say this. I think there's two issues that I have a concern with, and what CBS did. Americans want to know more about her positions, why she flip-flopped. In fact, Bill Whitaker asked her about that. And then they present her in a way that is much more coherent and concise with her policy positions. So they were clearly trying to present her in a way that is juxtaposed to the concerns that Americans have in a very positive way. That's number one. Number two is, if a campaign did an ad the way that they conducted that interview, they would do a story about how that campaign edited the piece in the interview. And so the hypocrisy that exists throughout the media, Mark's right, they all do it, but the hypocrisy that exists throughout all of them is so rampant. It's unbelievable. They are so high and mighty in how they do their job and how they'll criticize anyone else. I think that all of them are horrible.